Ready. See who arrives. Hello. Hey, Dan, drummer. Beep boop here from Discord announcement. Nice to see you, Dan. Let me actually, I don't know why there's a little arrow just down here, but I'm gonna just try to get rid of that real quick. How you doing, Dan? Nice to see you. Arrow, there we go. Gone. Just like Sillet Bang. This quality's a little poor on this camera. Isn't a great purchase. I mean, I've gotten a lot out of it, but it could be better. Wow, loads of people have hopped in the chat already. Amazing. There we go. The channel. Today, I'm actually going to wait a little while for people to come in. Got a minute before the hour. So I'll say my hellos first before we start chatting actually about what we're gonna do. But you probably can tell from the thumbnail and everything else what we're gonna be chatting about today. We have CW Glazer. Yo, what's up? Hey, Glazer. Humble Gallipot. Hey, here from YouTube notifications. You too. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I thought it'd be nice to hang out. We're gonna be doing some remodeling of some D&D species or races, whichever one you want to call them. Remodeling them for Gostar, both for D&D, but also for potentially my new TTRPG. I've got a list that we'll go through later, but I'll just say hello to everyone first as you all trickle on in. Den, you're doing okay-ish, I guess. No, I hope this stream can provide some betterness. Maybe some something chill to focus on. We're not going to do anything crazy today. Just some writing. I'm going to be taking ideas from you guys, and we're going to hopefully come up with something pretty cool. We have Royale, is that right? Royale, hey, welcome, hello. Rose says, hello everybody. Den says, been mapping some scenery for Trackmania. What is Trackmania? That sounds cool. Mapping some scenery, that sounds like a nice job. Might be wrong though. Cant of Versial bangs on Gobbo Bongo drums. Hello, welcome. Amazing chant from Cant there on the bongo drums, on the goblin bongo drums. You have the Irish goblins, the Asian goblins, etc., etc. Brilliant! I am Irish myself. I am an Irish goblin leader. The goblin horde is assembling. Yeah, so I suppose I can show you what we're going to be doing today. Switch over here. We're going to be making all my D&D kin is what I'm calling them in Gostar. Maybe all the races are just different races of Gobbo, says Kent. Secretly deep down. I do have 3 versions of goblins though for this whole thing. So we got the goblin department covered, and I've changed hobgoblins as well. Hobgoblins are different. Bugbears, Goliaths, and there was one other one I can't remember, have all been basically squashed into one race called Jotun. So that's pretty fun. We have Fey goblins, we have material realm goblins, and we also have scrunkly goblins, the really nasty ones that like to nibble kneecaps and such. Den says Trackmania 2020 is a stunt racing game. Has a free tier, but main content is behind yearly pass for like 20 years. Wow, cool, nice. Stunt racing, that sounds fun. Hell yeah. It's kind of like, is that like advanced version of a Happy Wheels or something? Kant says, humans, elflins, dwarvlins, and phalins. Amazing. Endymon, hello, welcome aboard. Cat says, ooh, scrunklins sounds cool. Cool even. Col. We have Aiden. Hello, Higgins. McDaniel Higgins. Very nice to see you. Kneecaps. Yes. Goblins love kneecaps. That's common knowledge for everyone, I think. So, what we've got here, this is one example of one of my Gostar kin. So we've got a whole bunch of them here. I'm got a whole list, and I'm breaking them up, and we're covering them all. We've got a few different core species in here. We've got humanoids, so that covers humans or humanlins, whichever you prefer. Halflings, elves. We have dwarves, which I'll cover soon. Very happy with the dwarves so far. Jotun, so they're replacing Goliaths and bugbears, and they are native to the realm of Jotunheim. Big, hairy, giant people. Everyone loves a big old himbo kind of character. There they are. Let's zoom in a little bit on them. Lovely, lovely folk. Come in many different colors, different color chest hair, you know, all that. They typically also have like a weird connection with dragons. Some of the tribes in Jotunheim and of Jotun feast on dragon hearts and acquire the powers of dragons. We've also then got Akrathon, which are replacing hobgoblins because they've become their own kind of thing in my own homebrew world. And we've got goblins, specifically the friendly ones are considered humanoid. Then we've got Animon. So, for any furry lovers out there, Animon are animal beings. We've got several different versions of them, and I'll be breaking those down. We'll be designing them together in this chat. But Alez are bird folk, Belu are beast folk, Saurus are lizard folk, Kekrik are insect folk, and then kobolds are any animon that are just smaller, because that's basically what kobolds are, right? You know, you've got the dog kobolds, you've got lizard kobolds. So kobolds is just a term for short versions of animon, and they'll get like a couple of little bonuses as well, and different kind of traits as well that change things up. You've got Draken, which replaced Dragonborn. They're kind of considered an animon since they are kind of animalistic in nature, though they are. So, a little bit of lore. There was a big war between dragons during this time. There's 6 main dragons in the world of Gostar. They started doing, when they were fighting, eventually, warring and such, they started siphoning off their blood and blood rituals to different individuals who wanted to fight for them. They gave them some of their dragon powers, and this created Draken or Dragonborn in my world. And they still exist, and they kind of pass on those genes and those abilities throughout history. Wow, the chat is bopping. The chat is just going. Watcher Online, caught one. I've caught a live one. Hello, welcome, Watcher Online. Hello, hello. Real Biggins. It's the name of giants, says Dead Drummer. Biglins. It's a good name for giant goblins. Glazer, bro, I love your latest video. Thank you so much. I'm very, very proud of it. Unfortunately, I don't know what's going on with the algorithm in my videos. Not many videos are getting much attention lately, so we'll see. Shadow God 212, I'm here for Mustache Goblins. Hell yeah. I can show you some art from Mustache Goblins later if you remind me. Rolex, hey, my hype man. Yo, what's up, Goblin Lord? I'm not too bad. I'm pretty good. Having a good week. Nearly finished Dragon Week's video for next week, so I'm very excited to share that with you. I've been going above and beyond with this one. There's even like little animatics and stuff in it, so I'm happy to share all that later. We got Royale Nordic Giant. Cool. Yes, exactly. Nordic Giants are the Jotun, so we'll touch on those a bit later as well. We've got Kekrik. Sounds like a fun thing to say. I really like Kekrik as well. Sounds like, it sounds insect, like the way it's like if insects had a voice, it would be Kekrik. It just sounds good. I like it. Nice and clicky. We have Endymon. Hello. I can only imagine kobold being a mocking word for small animon. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Like we sometimes call small people. Yeah. To some extent, yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, it could be derogatory for sure. But I like it. Yeah, there is this like a technical term as well. Maybe there's other ones as well. Like, I don't know, cobs for short. Oh, that's very sweet of you, Rolex. Thank you. Anyway, moving through, we've also got Atlanteans. They're technically their own kind of, subspecies as well, like their own species as well. But they fall under Animon because they are like fish people, basically. So Atlanteans, they live in a very particular part of Gostar. mainly in the oceans, but there is a region as well. There is a kingdom called Atlantis, and there's a few other places around that within the Bermuda Triangle, funnily enough, which is connected to our own world. And this is like a portal that's like one of those rifts where the veil between Earth and Gostar is very thin, and that's why a lot of ships and stuff go missing in the Bermuda Triangle, because there's one in Gostar. We've got Fey beings, so we've got changelings, we've got marionettes, a kin I just invented recently for a kind of 6-episode adventure game. Really love them, so keeping them for sure. Furbolgs as well are now Fey creatures as well. We've got gnomes, gnomes, and goblins, specifically the Fey type, but also the feral goblins. So we've got friendly Fey and feral goblins here. Automatons, there will be like eventually when I make this a book and its own thing, there will be a kind of skill tree of sorts that you can spec into for cyborg. So any character can become a cyborg, but for every essentially every point you spend in this thing, the less in tune with magic you'll become. So you'll start denying yourself like more mana and stuff in the future, or you'll have like less spell slots or whatever, and potentially like not even be able to cast really big spells. You start limiting, the more robotic you become, the less magic you can actually wield. So it's kind of cool. I like it. There's a big payoff as well. Obviously you can start I think the way you build up stamina is much quicker too, things like that. So you tire less, but you're less connected to the magical world. But then you've got automatons as a separate kind of creature, and androids. So androids, again, are a branch of human. That's going to be a sub-branch of the human species. Then, finally, we have celestial. So I think a few of you are going to be interested in this. For the celestial branch, we have omens. And omens are basically, I have taken Aasimar and tieflings and smashed them together. So you've got ill omens and you've got, good omens. So some are more like demonic looking, some are more angelic looking, but overall they have a similar feature. Like, for example, ill omens will have broken horns. So they'll have horns that don't connect. But good omens will have horns that connect, like a halo. I've done some sketches as well. I'll show you very quickly. It might not come up on the video, but I've been doing a few sketches while I was traveling. This is probably isn't going to come up, but you can kind of see there's one of the ill omens. They also have these kind of marks down their faces because their tears burn their skin, so they gain these scars. And good omens, sorry, I'm trying to readjust this camera. But good omens as well have many eyes and grow wings, and their kind of eyelashes are usually wings as well. A lot of people talking here. Let me see if I can catch up with some of you guys, because I can pay attention to you all a bit more in the chat now. It's just myself and you folk. So like Triton, Triton are just in this. Who said that as well? Shadow God, yeah. So the going back, excuse me. The Atlanteans are there's so many like fishy sea kind of creatures in D&D. So you've got, Triton, you've got sea elves, you've got all the other fishy folk anyway. They are just all summarized in Atlanteans, and you can customize them however you want. Marionettes, Fae, Golem folk. Ooh, Golem folk's really interesting. Yeah, I guess they're kind of like a golem. Though I do like the idea of golems specifically being monsters, but you could totally make an automaton a golem. That's a really fun idea. But yeah, we've got my wife the MC is in here. Hey V, how's it going? Is there a rebellious Atlantean princess who wants to be part of your world? That's what is that an Atlantis reference? There is. I actually have played in my own world. Someone DM'd for me. I've played a rebellious prince, Atlantean prince, who was turned into a cat. Because he was a bit of an ass and he wasn't a very nice person. So it's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast trope kind of story where he was really horrible. So a witch came along and turned him into a cat, which she saw as the most evil creature in the world. Like, they're really beautiful on the outside, but hideous on the inside. And so he's cursed until he could, be a nice person again. Kant says, steal children and make them into dolls, but the dolls gang up on the Fae and take their freedom. Kind of close enough to what actually happened with the marionettes in the world. So yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. Cyborg become a machine. Yes, Aiden. Cyborg stuff reminds me of Cyberpunk's humanity system. Ooh, I didn't know there was a humanity system. I haven't played it enough, Cyberpunk, but that's really cool. Yeah. That idea that you can kind of lose control, or you just lose your connection to the magical world. Dylan Manship, hello, welcome. For a moment, I realized the weakness of my flesh, and I craved the certainty of steel. That's really cool. I like that. That's really, really awesome. Humble Gallipot says I did a similar thing to Omens in my home game. I regret not renaming them. Yeah, so it's coming up. I found out really cool thing. The lowest class of angel is called like Omen or something like that, which eventually translated to Omen. These were like the messengers of God or whatever in the Bible. So I was like, ooh, that's cool, because I was looking for names for what I would call Aasimar in this world, like kind of angel folk or whatever. And then Rose, my partner, my fiance, had the great idea of being like, hey, why don't you just stick the tieflings and Aasimar together and make them all just omens, which I really like. I think it's really, really fun. I'm going to do a video on each of these races in the future too, hopefully. So what we come up with here will eventually be in a video. But yeah. Are there sea goblins? Why not? I'm sure there can be sea goblins. Now, so going back to the final branch here, we've got the Celestial. So we've got Omens. We've covered Omens. Wishborn is another kind of kin that I'm really proud of. And these are creatures that have been born from a wish. So parents who don't have children have maybe wished for one in some shape or another. So either by a shooting star or from a djinn or from a dragon. There's loads of different types of Wishborn, and Wishborn then take on a lot of similar traits to their parents, mixed with whatever kind of wish, whatever creature or being, the thing the wish came from. So if it was a star, they might have very celestial kind of starry vibes, maybe stars across their body and stuff like that. They might look like the night sky. If their parent was, say, a dwarf, now all of a sudden they have like a shimmering skin with sparkling stars all over their skin. If it was a djinn that they wished from, maybe they're more elemental, which is super fun. And then also we've got fae and dragons, so scales, or maybe kind of more fae-like, maybe a bit more creepy and everything else. So those are Wishborn. They've got some really fun traits. Like Wishborn have an ability called Wishproof, so they are immune to the wish spell, to the effects of the wish spell. They're also unchangeable, so this is like a really strange one where their form cannot be changed in any way, but this also means like they can't wild shape, or they can't polymorph themselves, or no one else can polymorph them. So big pros and cons there with that ability. And then they've also got bursting with magic, so they've got some other magical abilities. Moving on then, we've got Eladrin, which are also considered a celestial being. So in my world of Gostar, celestial are, yes, Aiden says like Pinocchio. Yes, very like Pinocchio. Wishborn can be a Pinocchio character. Another character that my fiance actually played was a Wishborn. They're beautiful. They had like loads of starry motifs and stuff. Very, very beautiful character. So that's a really fun one. But you could go wild with that one. I think it's just a really, really fun, unique and versatile kin that you can play as. So going into Eladrin, the lore of Eladrin in my world. All right, this is my way of explaining why there's so many elf subraces. Eloy, hey, hello Eloy. So there's so many types of elves, and I was like, okay, in my world, Eladrin are the original elf. They are these kind of pure beings that exist in their own kind of branch of the Feywilds and their own kind of perfect worlds. And they essentially, they're very easily tainted, and they adapt to environments very quickly. And these are kind of seen as impurities. So, for example, if an Eladrin moved to the sea, they would eventually turn into a sea elf. So they like to stay in their magical world where they're untouched by the influences of the material plane. But any who venture out into the other worlds will become all these other branches of elves. And they're all kind of seen as like, you know, ruddy, like impure and everything else. So these are Eladrin. They are celestial beings. You've got light and dark Eladrin, so very much playing off of like Norse mythology with the light and dark elves. And so a big thing as well, what I've changed is that they have a disadvantage on charisma saving throws. So usually elves in D&D, they have a resistance to being charmed and everything else. These, in the other hand, because they're so easily influenced, have disadvantage on these. We'll go around and design some stats for them later, but so we'll come back to them in a bit. I'll just go through the last few ones. We've got then Jinkin, which are replacing Genasi, so they are kin of Jin. So I think it just sounds fun to say. And then we've got Yokai. So Yokai are those are the spirit worlds. They can be mistaken for Animon, but these are creatures. So again, lore of Gostar. At one stage, way Yokai were first formed. There was a massive, basically, annihilation of all of mortal kind, and the god of death was really struggling to like deal with all the souls and like repurpose them and recycle them back into like the ether and have them be given new bodies. So some of these souls got smashed together and mixed up and smushed into one thing. And these became yokai. So yokai are these spirits and these very powerful beings who are a combination of different souls. So they will have all these different traits of the past being. So you might have like squirrel in there, wolf, you might have human and ogre and everything else all smashed into one thing. And their purpose is through their children, they will separate out parts of these souls. So they take chunks of these souls out of themselves. Those children will maybe have maybe the parent has 8 souls smashed together. Their child will then have 3 of those souls, and so on. And their purpose is to eventually filter those back out and all become individual souls. So what's quite sad and tragic is like in the modern age of Gostar now is they're very rare to find. You don't usually find yokai anymore because over the years they have just become a part of everything else. So they're really fun. They're a really fun race. But yeah, there we go. Let's go through some questions before we start designing some stuff. But all of these will eventually be in my new TTRPG. But also for now, to playtest their kind of effects and everything, we're gonna like make them for 5e, see how they feel, and then it's like okay, that works, or whatever that doesn't work, we can then apply those to the actual TTRPG. So what are some people saying here? An EV Eladrin. That's exactly what they are. They are EVs. So Eladrin are the EVs of this world, 100%. There's some fun ones as well. We've got like blood elves in this as well, which are definitely just taken from World of Warcraft. But they were Eladrin who were imprisoned by demons. And then, Omar, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you very much. That was so loud. It freaked me out there for a second. But yeah, those blood elves were formed when these Eladrin started to drink the demon blood, so they had enough power to like fight off their oppressors. They gained the demon blood, and then they gained all these like permanent scars on their face, these permanent like demonic runes all across their body. They're really fun. I like them a lot. But they are seen as like the most corrupted version of elf. They have this kind of anger in them they can't shake. Snooty elves. Everyone loves a snooty elf. So that was my way as well. It was making like elves immortal or through Eladrin. And I think maybe Eladrin maybe are better off as NPCs rather than actual playable kin, but we'll see. Yokai gotta be dark. Hell yeah. Yokai mentioned. We have Royale saying ghostly Animon. That's cool. Yeah, so yeah, that's basically what yokai are. They are like spirit animon almost, because they have all these different animalistic traits usually. Yeah. People seem to like the sound of yokai, which is really cool to see. That's awesome. Den says, on the Trackmania topic from like 10 minutes ago, left the video in chit chat. In chit chat give. Oh, cool. I see it there in Discord. Yeah, thank you very much. I'll definitely have a look at that. Thank you very much. Rolex says, oh, I like that a lot. Ooh, everyone likes everything, all the lore of these kind of things. That's really fun. Hello, Samurai Knight. Welcome aboard. Just got here. What did I miss? I'm just going through kind of the basic kin or, races or species of Gostar. And now we're going to go design some. So that's basically it. So what that look like Chimera? Would that look like Chimera? Says Watcher Online. For yokai, yeah, kind of. They could look Chimera-ish. I think they're all so seamlessly blended rather than the Chimera having like, I've got the tail, now the wings are like Lego bricks. They're more kind of like blurred together into one kind of like thing that kind of vaguely looks like all of these things. Aiden says, have a plot line where they find a way to exist without splitting. I mean, that's what a lot of them do. That's how you get kind of demons or like evil yokai. These are yokai. So yokai typically have a lot of people who worship them. They have worshippers. People, through their prayers, empower the yokai and give them, like, increase the strength of their souls. And so they often, because the people are giving to them, they give back in the form of miracles. This is like really powerful yokai who do this. And they will maybe, make it so that community have a really good season of crops and things like that. That's how they give back with these like minor miracles. But evil yokai who start to gain an appetite for prayers and worship don't give anything back. They do give it back in like boons and such later on, but they will forcefully like intimidate people to worship them, and through these worships and sacrifices as well. Sacrifice is a big one. If you sacrifice a creature to a yokai, they absorb the soul of that creature and get stronger and get more and more souls, and they start to bubble up. And this is actually a big plot point for a big campaign I'm running at the moment. But that's the whole kind of shtick with yokai. You can get evil ones then, and they will gain followers, and then those followers are basically warlocks, and they get different boons and powers that kind of resemble things from the yokai that they've given them these powers. Yeah. Can good omens turn into bad omens and vice versa? That's definitely got to be a thing. Let's write that down. I like that idea of you having that, you switching back and forth. That's really fun because we've got like a luck system, and I was deciding on a possible karma system for some creatures. So that we'll just put a note here in Celestials. Switch back and forth mechanic. That's really cool. Based on we could do it on luck or something like that. Let me see, because I wanted to come up with a system, a karma system, but that would be a really cool way for it to work. That the more negative karma you have, the more you turn into an ill omen, and the more good karma. That's really awesome. That's really, really, really fun. Very cool stuff. We have my wife, the MC, saying, which race serves Lucifer directly? Ooh, interesting. Lucifer the Feylord. Like, cleans her feet or something, asking for a friend. So, Lucifer, the oldest of all the Feylords, massive 100-foot tall golden lady who can also turn into a red dragon, bathes in baths of liquid gold, molten gold. A lot of her followers are in one of the current stories that have just ended were like demons and stuff. She was being corrupted by the Demogorgon, so she had loads of demons and stuff like that. She has a lot of I would say going from the races here in terms of Animon, it would be like the Draken. She was the first one to start making Draken through blood rituals. So she has a lot of kind of dragon-like creatures who work for her. And they would also, I see Draken as like, you can go as dragon-like as you want for a Draken. Like maybe you just have one big dragon arm, maybe you just got bits of scales here or horns or whatever. But essentially you've got traits of a dragon. But you can go full on dragon with your design, obviously, too. But I'd say lots of Draken of different shapes and sizes work for her, and clean her toes and run her molten gold baths. Rose says, Eloy says, I'd love to play a yokai. Oh, hell yeah. Anyman says, imagine a cult of Eladrin with 2 different eldritch deities who keep fighting over the cult. That's really fun. And then they just keep getting corrupted and molded. Awesome. Rose says, Goblin, do you have a favorite kin out of all these? That's a good question. I mean, I'm a sucker for, it's funny, just over there. I'm a sucker in terms of D&D. I always pick a new one every time. I want to just play something different every time. I'm really proud of the dwarves that I've designed. Really proud of yokai. I love the yokai. I think yokai though as well serve really well as like NPCs too. Every design that I've drawn artwork for, I'm like, I love this. I haven't drawn as much artwork for anything else yet, but really proud of Wishborn. Omens, I'm super excited to flesh out, and I think they will probably be one of my favorites. Just because I love like angelic and demon themes and stuff. Yeah, I like a lot of the celestial things, to be fair. Goblins, obviously. I have to say goblins. I'm, legally obliged to say goblins, but really happy with the dwarves. Let's have a little look at the dwarves to start off. Let's zoom in here at the artwork for these boys. So can I actually... Yeah, there we go. That'll do. So... So far I've got mountain dwarves and sky dwarves. Sky dwarves are a big thing in my world as well, in the realm of Olympus. New Olympus specifically, when Olympus was lifted up into the skies and became New Olympus, all these mountains were like raised into the skies. Dwarves were a big part of that process and that procedure. And a lot of them started to adapt to the skies. And I'll get to that in a minute. But first, dwarves. When I was designing these guys, I really wanted to... So a bunch of people have gone like really radical with designs for dwarves, where they don't look anything like how dwarves look in, say, Lord of the Rings, which is totally cool. There's some really rad designs out there where they become really, really radical. They look like these kind of like insect-like creatures, some of them, loads of stone skin, all that kind of stuff. I think is really awesome. But what I wanted to do here was I wanted to still, because I think the people who love dwarves because of, Gimli, that kind of classic archetype of dwarf. And I didn't want to veer away from that too much with the design, because I still, I didn't want to create something that's totally different so dwarf lovers don't have a dwarf anymore. So I wanted the stone kind of skin. I wanted them to be these kind of people of the stone. So with the design, they have this kind of stone skin, which makes them really rigid and they move really slowly. But the beards, dwarves gotta have beards. It's gotta be like an essential part. So their beards are typically made of crystal and it grows. And what I really like about these dwarves is, royalty and such will keep growing out their beard because they have loads of wealth anyway. They never need to sell their beard, which is like made of precious gemstone, to earn money. And that's like an actual feature for this race, is that for every week of growth, your beard increases in value by 5 gold pieces. But dwarves that don't have a beard or that have a really small beard are considered poor and like peasant-like amongst their kin. And so you've got there's like this like massive disrespect and like taboo about actually shaving off your beard and selling it. But it is a feature that you can actually do. If you're really stuck, you can chop off some of your beard and sell it as precious gemstones. So that's dwarves. They're these rigid people who live in the mountains. They've got sunlight sensitivity as well. The bright light is too much for them. They're kind of scared of going outside because it's absolutely blinding. And they've got those massive bulgy eyes for that same reason. So that's dwarves for you. But then eventually they adapted to go up into the skies. And these dwarves have kind of clearer, slightly more transparent beards, slightly less opaque skin as well. And they are lighter as well, and they have adapted to the lightning storms of Olympus and have a natural resistance to them. So they have a resistance to falling damage to some extent. They like lessen falling damage that they take, and they're also resistant to lightning damage, and they don't have the negative feature of dwarves, which is having disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. But they don't have the instead of the +2 bonus that the mountain dwarves have to AC, they have a +2 bonus to AC because they're made of stone. So they're really tanky, but they have these massive detrimental effects as well, which is something I want to include in a lot of these designs, is have really strong kind of boosts to your character, but also very strong and obvious weaknesses. So Sky Dwarves, then, they've replaced this +2 ability to AC with resistance to lightning damage. And they've gotten rid of the disadvantage on dexterity saving throws, and actually it's a boon, and they reduce falling damage by twice their level. They don't have the superior darkness, and they don't have sunlight sensitivity, so they can't see in the dark, but they don't have the negative side effects of that, which is sensitivity. Just change that. Oops. But yeah, beards, the more they grow them, the more they increase in value. 25 movement speed. So that's them, and I'm super, super happy with their design. Wait. Rolex Mirror says, bro, did you see Pointy Hat's video about dwarves? I don't know if I have seen his one about dwarves. I have to check it out. I've seen his one about goblins and orcs and tieflings, but I haven't seen the one about dwarves, so I'll have to check that out. Hope I haven't, there hasn't been any like crossover or whatever. Eloy says, oh my god, imagine an emerald beard. That would be so cool. That's just it. It'd be so sick. You choose the type of precious gemstone that grows from your face. I just think that's awesome. Everyone loves having technicolored characters. So yeah. Den says, looking at Elder Scrolls dwarf equivalent, the Duergar. Yeah, I love Duergar as well, and I love the idea, there are these people who live in the dark, live in caves and such, and so they're very kind of like rigid. They become part stone. They don't like the bright light, all that kind of stuff. Watch Online says, is it weird that I want to see a goblin in everything? Celestial goblin, an aquatic goblin, a golem-ish goblin. You know what? All these, just reflavor them as different types of goblins. Use the abilities, but just say they're like this goblin or that goblin. That's so fun. A true goblin follower. Thank you. Royale says, a gem beard. That would be a hard to comb. Absolutely. But imagine like the idea that some of them like carve out like runes and stuff into their beards. So you have these like amazing carvings on your beard. So you'd never want to like cut it off and stuff. Ken says, social casts based on how pretty your beard is. Exactly. Beards are just like such an integral part to dwarven designs, I feel, that I just like, how did you gotta go all out with it? And how would you make it more precious than actually making it actually made of gemstones? So anyone says, what if there was a black market for fake or real, if it's really shady, dwarf beards? That's fun. So yeah, you've cut off your beard, now you just want to replace it with actual gemstones. You're like walking around, like, hey! It's like the equivalent to wearing like a toupee or something like that. That's really, really fun. And so the Dwarf Goblin War began. In opposition, where wizards just making race species mostly favor instead of actually mattering. In opposition, where wizards is just making racist species mostly flavorful. Yeah, exactly. And that's that's fine. I think that's there are pros and cons to it for sure. Where like. And I totally get as well why they've removed, say, like ability score improvements and stuff to certain species and stuff, because it just makes sense that you feel tied down. Like people can change, people can do different things and be unique. But obviously, by having very distinct and different species, it might disincentivize you to be a specific species for a specific build or whatever, and it'd be just fun to just be whatever. But I do like the unique traits and the storytelling and the lore that's like packed into these things, and I like impactful decisions. But I like as well that here there are very clear defined like disadvantages to also picking this. You get the +2 to AC, but if someone throws a fireball at you, you're gonna be terrible at dodging that. So I think that's really fun. Going through Ike, how's it going? Could you imagine having a diamond beard that you grow for spell components? That's pretty sick. Yeah, just like, you know, so how cool would that be for a story? You've got this player who's been growing his beard out for years. It's like a diamond beard or whatever, and then one of his companions is killed. And so he sacrifices his beard, his entire lineage to like bring that person back. That's really cool. That's super cool. I also love the idea of these beards. They could be like solid crystal, but they could, and they might grow really slowly that way, but they could also be like frizzy, kind of like crystalline hairs as well. So to rationalize where you have a massive beard, but it's made of diamonds and it's only worth this much, you know, cool ways to do that. But I love that idea. Love that concept. Could they put rune cantrips on their beard? 100%. I love that idea that they put rune magic in their beard and they can cast spells through their beard. How fucking cool is that? That's dope. Den Drummer, wait, does Belt of Dwarven Kind now make you grow the same kind of beards as dwarves grow? I mean, why not? I think that's sick as hell. Watcher Online, what is your take on wood/plant folk? Not exactly huge like treants, not totally Fey or Dryad, just sentient plant folk. I love that. I actually don't have anything like that in here, funnily enough. Maybe I should. I've had an NPC, he's called Burr in some of my games, and he is a Dryad, which I think is super fun. I love them as a thing. I should maybe put that in, like, where would they fall under? Like Animon, or I could change automatons here into like structures, and then you can put in things like, you know, you could put golems in here. Golemkin, golem folk. I don't know, put a golem folk for now, and let's put in tree folk, plant folk, or something like that. That's a really fun idea. I'll put that down as an idea because I do like that idea and I think it's a really beautiful thing. I kind of slightly prefer the trait of becoming a plant and becoming one with nature over time, which is like a big thing I've put into like a lot of my crafting skill tree stuff. But that's really fun. I like that a lot. Some serious potential there for a really cool kin or species. Aiden says, and then die again. Hopefully they don't die more than the once after they sacrifice their entire beard. Every kobold a dwarf kills makes their beard grow. Every kobold a dwarf. That's sad. Make a runaway dwarf that uses his beard to infuse mechanisms with power and then deal elemental damage. That's so sick. Random Wizard Art. Hello, welcome, Random Wizard Art. Do you have any advice for someone who wants to make their own homebrew setting? My biggest advice, I've done a whole video on this, like, in world building as well, but start small is the biggest thing. Just do a one shot, set it in a town, flesh out the town. If people go beyond the town, then make more, and on it goes. But don't make more than you'll ever need as well, because it'll kind of like, it doesn't necessarily go to waste, but you'll feel sad and you'll feel the urge to railroad people to explore the things that you've made, even if they don't want to. It does a weird thing to your psyche when you have all this stuff fleshed out and you never get to explore it. But again, anything that's not used can always be stored away and used again in the future. But check out my world building videos. I've done 2 of them. There's a lot of advice in there if you want some more stuff. Imagine memories stored in the beard. We're coming up with some sick stuff here. Memories stored in the beards as they grow to store more memories. I'm going to write that down. That's a sick ass feature. Memories are stored in the beard. And then on death, beard is recovered and returned to the mountain. I love that idea. That's a really sick idea. It reminds me of a thing called a masterpiece that's also in Jotunheim. So there's this whole city of innovation, and it's seen as a great honor that when you pass away, you have your genius taken out of you, all your ideas and intelligence is taken out of your body and uploaded to the masterpiece, which is this kind of liquid silver that emanates from this fountain, and it's this sentient fountain that is basically like a artificial demigod that has all the genius minds of everyone who's ever existed for the past like 1,000 or so years, all working as one. So there's this hyper intelligent being that people pray to. You pray for genius to it, and then when you do, it grants you ideas that it comes up with. It blesses you with ideas. So that would be really sick. That maybe it comes from this tradition that dwarves have, which is offering up the beards and like creating this massive gemstone amalgamation of all the memories of all the dwarves, which is very Dragon Age. If anyone's played Dragon Age, very similar kind of vibe. Okay, so we're gonna move on from dwarves, and in the chat, I guess, let's see what people want me to cover. Out of all the things we've covered, let's build something today on stream. We've got humans, halflings, elves, dwarves, Jotun. We've got all the Animon, all the different types of Animon. We've got Fey beings, we've got changelings, marionettes. They're pretty fine. I've got marionettes covered. Furbolgs, gnomes, goblins. Obviously is another thing. Automatons. We got cyborgs, androids, golem folk, tree folk, celestial. We got omens, which could be a cool one to look into. Wishborn, already done. And then we've got Eladrin. Need to flesh them out a bit. I know all the lore of Eladrin and everything else. Jinkin, people from Jins, and yokai. So, put in the chat. Put in whatever you want to cover. Actually, whatever comes up, we'll if there's a lot of options, we might put a poll together. But yeah, put your options in the chat, and we will figure something out. I think I can do. I think I can organize a poll here while you're all putting in your answers. So, the question is, which kin do we cover? So any answers that you put in, I'm going to add in here. So someone said elves. Someone has said omens. Got Jinkin. Add option. What else we got? What features do humans get? Humans get nothing. No, I think if you play a human, you can start somewhere on the skill tree at random, and you start your journey there instead. I think that if we're doing classes eventually, that's what I want to do with humans. In this case, I think humans probably don't change too much. I think probably take a feat or whatever to start off with, and I think that's pretty strong as is. But then you can be an android as well if you want to be slightly different. They might choose, they're like a specialist, so you can choose maybe expertise in one particular skill when you make an android. We got I say cyborgs and the process to become one. Okay, sounds cool. Cyborgs. Have we got any other answers before I release this poll? So far we've got elves, omens, jinkin, and cyborgs. Very interesting selection. Let me put that down while I remember. Androids gain a special expertise in one skill. Facts. What's Den saying here? Especially because the potatoes grow in the I'm lost. There's some other potato conversation going on here. Plant folk as well as one last option. Oh, we can only do 4. Okay. Well, okay. Sorry, we're gonna do the poll. I'm gonna add that poll in. You should all get it. Elves, we'll cover plant folk soon. I promise. That will be covered eventually. But for now, what do we do? Elves, omens, jinkin, or cyborgs? Let me know. We got 7 votes in. We'll give it 5 minutes. So when we come to 10-2, I guess we'll rack up that thingamajiggy. Or, you know, when we get as many votes as there are viewers, that also works. Okay. So we got I think omens are pretty popular right now. Oh no, it's fluctuating. It's fluctuating. All right. I can't even see the chat anymore. Oh, we just have Plant Folk was the last thing that was said. Everyone's busy voting. You know, we'll put 2 more minutes. We don't need to wait a whole 5 minutes. So yeah, omens would be very fun for sure. Elves would be really interesting to like cover one of your classic D&D species. I think that's really interesting. Jinkin, super fun. You know, elemental characters. I would love to explore those. Pointiat did a really cool video on Ganassi, so I think that'd be really, really sick to also try to come up with their own interpretation of it. Rolex says, "Oof, it's going to be omens." Maybe they're pretty popular. My favorite race remastered. I would love to see the omens. All right, we got like 1 more minute. Get your last votes in. If anyone else has voted, vote for what we want to cover. But yeah, Omen Cyborg is sick as hell. That's a freaking cool idea. Would like a floating skull in Warhammer. Would like to be a floating skull. Awesome. All right, I think we'll wrap up the votes there. We're gonna close it. End poll in 3, 2, 1. Boop. You're basically talking about vegetable plant folk and how essentially potato plant folk Spudkin would be viable because of the way potatoes grow IRL. That's an awesome conversation. This is why we play D&D. Okay, so omens get in with elves second, cyborgs followed by them, and then Jinkin at the end. So beautiful. Let us have a look then at some omens. So we like the idea that they could switch back and forth. I'll put another poll, why not, in the chat, if that should be a feature. If we should have a karma system that they play around, and if they should change back and forth, kind of like, I love that feature. I've always been obsessed with that feature in the Fable games, that you kind of change based on your actions. So put that in. Should omens be able to change back and forth? Yes, with karma system. So that basically means change happens often. We could put down yes, but on rare occasions. And then we've got put in another option, which would be no. Okay. So, oops. Why can't I start this poll? I don't want that option. Delete. Oh, must contain 35. Okay, sorry. Too many characters. Let's put down happens often. Is that too many? Oh. Yes, with karma system happens. Let's make it smaller again. There we go. Now I can start the poll. There we go. Okay. So we've got biblically accurate angels. Yeah, so in the original design, so a few things. I'll put down ill omens and good omens. So both of these are interesting. So we've got ill omens, few traits that lore-wise they have. I mean, I should get my notebook out. It's this one. Too many notebooks. So few features. We have if they were based on skill trees as well. I love the idea that they both start with like an aura, like a malicious aura or a benevolent aura. That's how I would do it if it was based on my own system. But we're gonna focus on D&D here. So big thing, ill omens have spiky teeths. They have their tears. burn their skin. They leave these kind of streaks basically in their skin, down their eyes. Leave scars across face. I'll put down vertical scars. They also have unconnected horns, or a broken halo. This is actually one thing here makes me think like maybe it shouldn't happen too often that they go back and forth. That idea that the broken halo, that could be more impactful story-wise or narratively if, you know, when that halo maybe eventually merges back again, that's a really big moment, and similarly like it starts cracking or breaks for the first time. I think if it's just constantly fluctuating, maybe it's not as impactful actually, now that I think about it. So maybe it should happen, they should be able to change, but it has to be something big that allows them to change. We then have good omens. Few things that good omens have. They have many eyes, winged eyelashes, which I think is super cool. Connected horns. Horns as a halo. And then we've also got, was that it? I think that's it for now. They're kind of like core traits that distinguish them. So, hello, Flagus. Hello, how's it going? Welcome. Nice to see you. We're doing pretty good. What are people saying here? Amber, hello, howdy, Amber. Alignment is a sticky thing, to be fair. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Celestial body system is an option. It's also an option. Cool. Yeah, celestial bodies, interesting. Basing them off of like, yeah, different gods and beings. That's kind of the original idea, is that they are these, you know, voices of greater beings as well. And that's how they're created. Either if they're born that way, it's maybe they're prophesized or destined to become the voice of a god, or, you know, a powerful being, or whatever. Ragava says, I feel like the change should be their choice, but good/bad actions are required. It's a good idea. Good idea for sure. You know, we'll end the poll just out of curiosity. See what people are saying. So yeah, it looks like, yeah, most people are saying, yeah, yes, but on rare occasions. So I'll put that down. But on big occasions. Big life-changing events. And I think it could be fun that, like, you just even put it in the lore for them. Like, there doesn't have to be mechanics for how you switch over. But, like, if you just say it, it's basically written down in the rules that, you know... Why is that wrong? Events. I don't know. I've put down events twice. But the idea that, you know, it's in the lore of them, but you choose, you know, when they change. I think that makes more sense. Baked into lore. Can redeem themselves / you know, take the side of a new god or being, etc. Cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Very nice. Feel like making it happen on rare occasions would make it impactful. Yes, yeah, exactly. Like healing a spiritual injury. I love that. That's really, really cool. I love this. I love what we're going with at the moment. What's being built. Bard of Light. Hello. That's an epic name. Also, definitely would want to be able to play a sweet character with devilish features or an evil character with angelic features. Yeah, for sure. I'd prefer a karma system to not prevent those options. That's fair. That's interesting. You could have a neutral Omen. You've got ill, good, and, you know, something in between. Spicy Omen. Something like that. Ragva says maybe it could be based on other people's perception of them, so that they could be a good omen that everyone thinks, but is actually a baddie. That's interesting. I think as well, you could be an ill omen or a good omen, but maybe you can just have different features or whatever. Maybe you, I think that should be a flexible thing that you can choose how they look or whatever. Or maybe you're just constantly casting the disguise self on yourself, so you look like a good omen to trick everyone else. That could be a feature. Maybe that should be an ability that they can do. Look like a good omen or look like a bad omen. So let's put that in as a feature. Features for all. I'm just gonna put ideas in here. They don't have to be like set in stone, but that idea, omens can look, or say, omens can make themselves look like a good omen. But anyone with a, detect good or evil spell / true sight will be able to see their true form. Something like that. I think that's kind of cool. Because then that allows you to be flexible with your designs, but then it could be a cool big reveal that this is what you look like, these are your true colors and everything else. The broken halo is making me think of Crimville from Interspecies Reviewers. I don't know that. Interesting. Eloy says, maybe I will ask to play a tiefling that was born on hell but always wanted to be a good person, and his goal is to beat the desire to be evil. That's really fun. I like that a lot. Orlok says, whole story arcs based on that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you got. That's what I want with this. I want these species, these kin, to really feel juicy, like you've got a story to go, like that you can explore right off the bat. When you choose these things, they feel like they've got weight, which is exactly what I want for these. Kant says that he believes sorry, I'm just assuming gender. Kant believes that I think characters like that deserve an entire mechanical structure for their purpose, something more detailed than just an oath. Yeah, I think that's fair. Again, a big thing I'm trying to strive for here too, you'll see it like in the dwarf mechanics. I'm trying to get like really kind of lightweight mechanics, but like juicy lore. Like there's one core feature, like here, the bearded dwarves have their beards. They've got the beards, and then you've got two different things. They're rigid, slow moving but defensive, or light and graceful, but absorb electricity. Kind of just like a couple of snappy things. So I'm trying to figure out now how we can, hone this in now to just a few features, like one core feature. They're the main thing. They are voices of gods. So voice of God, what does that mean? Voice of gods. So that could be their main feature, something like that. Then maybe they can ask for help or something like that. They have, or divine quest or something, could name it something like that. That's their main feature. And then the two abilities they get are like, one thing as well, again, like I said, if they were in the classes skill tree, their abilities will literally be like, you start on the skill tree in the malicious aura or the benevolent aura, and that's kind of basically how you start things off. What else have I written here actually in my notes? Growing wings, that's a fun idea as well. Cannot take fall damage. That's kind of sick. If you want to, you've got these developing wings, and then at 5th level or 6th level, you gain a flying speed. Let's put that down. Growing wings. Immune to fall damage. To fall damage. While not unconscious. unconscious, you know, paralyzed, or petrified. And then at, you know, 5th level, might change the level. 5th level is too low, I don't know. Gain a flying speed equal. Gain flying speed of, you know, let's say 20 feet. And this increases to 40 feet at 10th level. Something like that. That's kind of fun. That's kind of neat. Let's see what people have been saying here. Like, how's Moon Castle when his hair, gel, bathrooms gets messed up? That's kind of fun. Constantly updating their makeup. Yeah, this is interesting. Can't be too good for, it can be good for roleplay. Omen appears as Dorian Gray, a reflection of your own intentions. Ooh, that's fun. I'm liking this idea that, yeah, they can look like however they like. That's kind of fun. I'll call it like false reflection or something like that. Omens can make themselves look like a good / bad omen / ill omen, but it can be detected with whatever. We haven't got any negative effects here so far though, so we'll have to look at that at some stage. Let's see what else everyone else has said. What's your favorite dragon type? I like blue dragons. I like electric dragons. I also like the dragons that live in the sea because I think that's really cool. Like, I think it's silver or copper dragons that live in this. Copper dragons, I think, maybe, or bronze. One of them lives in the sea, which I think is really sick. Ken says, so no Vampire of the Masquerade heavily humanity rule system then, lol. I think it just gets too complicated if you have something like that. I think that, like, when you pick a race, you just want to be like, okay, I got the species abilities now, and that's kind of, you kind of want to move on. I don't want the people to dwell too much on this. The thing I'll be featuring in my new TTRPG though is that you can, like, take an ability from one race, just one other ability from another kin, and pop it into your own, but it comes with a negative effect as well. Flying for the good uns, baby. There we go. Yeah, because that is true. That I think the you know, in terms of, you know, lore and mythology, you know, the evil omens lose their wings, right? So they fall down. Maybe I'm making that up. So their feature, we're gonna put down. Growing wings is the feature of good omens. Now we need an ill omens feature. Vengeful is a good one. What about giving them the ability to make holy water by meditating instead of sleeping like elves do? That's a fun idea. I think from random wizard art, I think that's interesting. I'm meditating with a jar of... It is cool. I know it's already though a cleric feature, so maybe you don't necessarily want to be like super holy vibes. So you could also take like a cleric up or a paladin and just gain that feature. I think if you want to go for more that vibe, but I think it's not a bad idea. Something like that is interesting. I do like the wings because it seems like versatile so far. Wonder if we got, or curses could be interesting for ill omens, that you can curse people or something like that. Wings could give the ability of feather fall spell. Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's kind of basically, yeah, you're immune to fall damage, but you have to be conscious. Or maybe you can cast feather fall. Maybe that's a better way to do it. Yeah. I'll cross that out for now. I won't get rid of it. Just so in case I want to come back to that version of it, but that's not a bad idea. You can, oops, still crossed out. Whomp. You can cast Feather Fall as a reaction on yourself, without spending a spell slot. There we go. Perfect. I don't even need to put a reaction there. You can just cast Featherfall on yourself without spending a spell slot. There we go. That's pretty clean. I like that. That's cleaner than this. So let's get rid of that. Whomp. Very nice. Thank you, Ember. That was a good idea. Maybe give them a... Ooh, I've just scrolled down there for a second. Okay, Shadow God says, maybe give them a special charisma-based command or skill since angels and demons are known to be persuasive. Very interesting. Could do for sure. Keep that in mind. Put down, or I put that. I mean, that yeah, persuasive features. That, yeah, it's kind of like what we're going for the Voice of Gods, but what could that be, I wonder? How many wings would they have? It's up to yourself how many wings you get. Maybe you get little small ones to start off or whatever, or they don't really function very well. Maybe they're just spectral wings. Totally up to yourself there. You can leave all that to your own. I'd leave all that to people to decide. Yeah, what do the baddies get? Bard of Light says maybe they can get 1 or 2 free cantrips. Thaumaturgy comes to mind. Again, I find it really boring when in D&D a species or ability just says you get this spell now. I don't know. I just think for me, I think it's lazy game design. It doesn't feel like fresh or interesting or like, oh wow, I have this unique thing to me. It's like everyone else can cast this spell if they take that spell. So I'm kind of like hesitant often to put down like, take the spells. I put it down for Featherfall there because it makes more sense. It kind of makes it kind of it makes a lot of sense there. But with little kind of cantrips and stuff, it just feels like I can do a little cantrip. It's fine. Doesn't really change things too much. False reflection and aura of lies for the baddie. Flying with boons for the goodies. That's not a bad idea that the false reflection could just go in. Yeah, let's do that. Let's put that in as the Omen ability. I think that's a good shout. So false reflections, ill omens can make themselves look like, that feels really evil, or sinister, can make themselves look like good omens, or I'm going to say good omens or a human. Or you know what? I'm just going to say they can make themselves look like good omens. I'm not going to get too complicated here. I think it gets too messy otherwise. A good omen, but anyone with detect magic or true sight will be able to see their true form. Perfect feature. They can just come across as a nice person. That's a perfect feature for an ill omen who's got to convince people that they're a good person, or like convince them to bring them over to their side. I think that's fun. I think that's super fun. Good omens be holy water. Amber corrected me there as well earlier. Bronze dragons are coastal. Thank you very much. You played a bronze dragon. Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I love them. Love bronze dragons. Tails/tentacles for ill omens, like the wing bones that lose feathers become prehensile tentacles like structures. That's really cool. Oh, I don't want to bog this down too much. I don't want it to weigh things down. That's tough. That's tough for sure. I'll put a poll down in a minute. Let's see what else we've got here, and if we wanna vote on it. So what about poison/venom, Kobodo dragon spits for ill omens? Maybe the ability to inflict poison damage when they cast Fisher's Mockery or psychic damage. That's really fun. Okay, we'll write that down. I'll put a poll. Let's see. Let's do a poll here. Start poll. Ill omen ability. See, I don't always like it be an offensive thing too. I love the idea of this versatile roleplay kind of thing with the false reflection. I'm leaning towards that. We'll see what everyone has to say. False reflection as one option. We've got, what was that, like tentacles, venomous words, something like that. And well, let's see what else everyone else has said. Here's an idea for naming a karma system: divine conflict. That's fun. That's a very nice name. I do like Divine Conflict. Maybe we'll put that down as an ability or something. Grow more wings, and the wingy powers give more wingy abilities. Jump spell, then fly spell. Yeah, we've kind of done that here with, like, you know, you get 20 foot of fly speed, then you get 40 foot of fly speed. But again, jump spell could be interesting. I just feel like jump spell won't always come into play all that much, unfortunately. Let's see. No Justice Network, hello, welcome, says, oh, thank God, I thought I was alone in thinking giving spells was crappy feature for a species. Yeah, I just find it, like, it's like, okay, cool, nice. And then often you start metagaming, it's like, oh, how can I get these spells in a specific species? And then you choose that species so that you can get the spells. And then it's like, okay, cool. But it doesn't feel unique necessarily. Amber says, some is aesthetics versus mechanics. Aesthetics is very customizable, lets the players imagine and grow and connect with the character, but mechanics can require balance and directly affect roleplay. Yeah. Shadow God says, giving Ill Omen an Asher Dallin stride type of speed could be ooh, that is cool though. Demon Dash, let's go Demon Dash. That's pretty fun. That's a cool ability, just being really zippy. That feels cool. Dendroma says, random idea, an omen of a god of love could be similar to a cherub like Cupid, and in god omen form, and more like a suspicious incubus as an ill omen. That's fun. Yeah, you can have these like more skewed and corrupted versions of a god as well. That's really nice. That you, yeah, necessarily you might have a lawful god, a god of law or something, but that could be very different depending on if you're an ill omen or a good omen. That's fun. Ill omens can have resistance to poison, and good omens have a resistance to radiant damage. Maybe it's kind of funny based on poisons. Probably common resistance and radiant is rare. That's a cool idea. I think again, resistances are one of those ones I don't want to give too often. They have to be like, because I don't know. They just feel very powerful. Narratively, it's cool, but if it's not like essential to the lore of a character, then I don't know. I like the idea that a god could still smite down one of their good omens and they take the full brunt of it. Poison's interesting, but again, it's one of those ones that's like maybe in terms of like roleplay and flavor, it might not suit everyone's vibe. So I'd love to come up with something that would always feel like it fits someone's vibe, that feels loose enough but weighty enough that it suits someone's. Okay, so I'll start this poll anyway in the meanwhile, see what we want to go for. The whole spells as features suck thing is really telling us something about how we really feel about spells in general. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think spells are cool. I like spells, but I think the idea of just copying and pasting them as new abilities is a bit lazy in terms of game design. That's my opinion. How about suffer silver iron sensitivity based on their omen type? Ooh, I like that idea. That we need some sort of I'm gonna remove that. We need some sort of key weakness here. So we're gonna put down divine let me see. So I like the idea. Originally, when I was applying for university, I was doing a portfolio for our college, and I did a whole thing on angels and designing angels and like these angel hunters. And often when you talk about monsters in mythology and stuff like that, silver is a key weakness for like evil creatures. This pure alloy that doesn't usually I know that gold doesn't really ever oxidize. Silver does to like a lesser extent, but it's one of those ones that doesn't really oxidize. So it's kind of seen as this pure metal, and silver is used to fight off all these impure creatures. So I love the idea that rust, like impure metals that rust really easily, harm angels. So like iron is something that really hurts angels. So that could be a fun idea. Like silver does like double damage to ill omens, iron weapons. It's just every weapon though does double damage to good omens. Could do something here like poison is twice as effective on ill omens. That could be interesting. And then radiant damage. Maybe not radiant damage for good omens or ill omens, but silver could be definitely a thing. Look at that. That could be really interesting. That could be really, really fun. What is everyone else here saying? False reflection isn't balanced with the wings the others get. I know, I agree. I think false reflection doesn't quite balance it. It's not as powerful, that's for sure. But maybe they don't have the a key weakness that good omens do. So maybe they don't have, let's put down poison. They're weak to poison. So give them a strong thing, but give them equally strong weakness. What name would be good for this? Like for poison, like their weakness to poison. So like, intolerance. Ooh, oh my god, how do I spell that? Look at intolerance. Good omens take additional damage from poison, or just say they're vulnerable to poison. Good omens are vulnerable to poison damage. Super glaring weakness. I don't know what people think of that. Maybe people are like, oh no, poison damage is so common, or so and the poll actually as well. It's such a common damage type, but maybe that's super scary. Just a simple like illness can kill you. Got so many messages. The chat is absolutely booming today. What if bad omen players could choose between 4 options? That's fun. Ill omens maybe are more versatile, something like that. Choose one. Sure, could do that. Maybe just 2. Maybe not 4 options. Maybe 4 is too many. Choose one. False reflection, or a minor one like zippy speed. Zippy speed just seems a little kind of boring. What have people said? It was a tie between demon dash and false reflection. So there we go. So some sort of dash ability. I guess you can dash as a bonus action. Demon dash. Let me see. Not once per press. I'll just say that you can dash as a bonus action. Is that too powerful then? Like, is no one gonna pick the good one, the false reflection? That's the only thing. It's like maybe false reflection should be, instead of this, you can cast, again, I hate spells, but like, I don't want to say that you can cast what's the spell, the spell that changes your appearance, but you create an alternate identity as a bonus action. You can magically change your appearance to look like this. You can change your appearance. You can magically appearance and take on this false reflection. And then, new line. Just clean it up a bit. Anyone with detect good and evil spell. I'm just gonna say actually detect good or casting detect good or evil. The detect good or evil spell or true sight. We'll be able to see just casting allows one to see an ill omen's true form. There we go. Okay. That's kind of a bit more interesting. So now you can construct the identity. You could look like however you want, but you've got one identity. Maybe it should be disguise self. I don't know. But it feels like, you know, just having one identity. Let's do a vote. Let's do one last poll, and we'll see. Start a poll. Let's see. Okay, false reflection should be. Let's say disguise self, or one unique identity. You see, one unique identity feels more flavorful to me, but maybe disguise self is just more, you know, varied. Let's start a poll and see what you all think. Wow, lots of people are just chatting away here. Let me just catch up. Ill moons get several options depending on the 7 ill sins. Again, that's too many options though. You need to keep it. You need to keep it tight for design purposes. You could do everything for every character, but then it's like, why would you choose anyone else if you can just gain all these options from one thing? So I want to keep it concise. Watcher says, if we're balancing the dash with the winged flight, then we can think of the dash like Dragon Ball. They dash in a direction and stay midair for as long as they're moving. Maybe, but then again, it's like, why wouldn't you just choose? Then that's just basically flying in the same self. Alter self seeming and polymorph. That's interesting. Petition to have the description of Demon Dash have some flavor text regarding an ill omen, using it to sever a diner as a reference to Diner Dash. Amazing. Signed. Amazing. Diner Dash. Amazing. Barter Light says, I think what you want with Demon Dash sounds like Misty Step, to be honest. Maybe, I think that might be too powerful. I don't know. Or it feels too Fae-like for Demon Dash, but maybe I think just the idea of having a bonus action to dash is also pretty solid. The unique identity could become self-conscious for Good Omen. Could be self-conscious. Yeah, to convert to Good Omen. The unique, sorry, I'm reading this again. The unique identity could become self-conscious and convert to Good Omen. That's interesting. Yes, I agree. So let's go with, okay, Demon Dash. We'll put up another poll in a minute once everyone's voted for false reflection. But we could say Demon Dash is, okay, it's either going to be, you can use the dash action. You can dash as a bonus action without provoking opportunity attacks. I think that's like nice and clean, to be fair. If it's a teleporting thing, you'd have to limit it to like a certain amount of uses. So I think maybe keeping it as just the dash action is just nice and clean. The unique identity could become self-contributing. Watcher Online says, how about the earth element ability to surf on the surface of the ground? That's kind of fun for Demon Dash. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea that you can flavor it however you like to. It's like, it's broad enough that you can just We're down here. Why is there a thingy? I don't know. But I like that you could just flavor it however you like there. Rayali says the dash can maybe like charge. Like if you dash, you can have some extra damage. That's kind of fun. I think that's kind of bordering on though like orcs and stuff like that. They've got like that same dash charge kind of reckless attack, and I want to keep that unique to maybe them. Demon dash though feels nice that it's like you're just zipping around the place, moving place to place. Again, teleportation kind of more fun. Again, very powerful, but you know, definitely an option. And the poll as well. Let's see where that's at. Oh, people are saying one unique identity. That's interesting. Didn't expect that. So that's fair enough. Okay. So what we'll do is, yeah. Okay, we'll keep it as is then. That's kind of cool. Grim Goblin. Hello, Grim Goblin. How's it going? Says, I have a game soon, so I can't stay much. I just wanted to pop in and say mad respect for all your work. Good luck recreating this species for your TTRPG. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much, Grim Goblin, and best luck with your game. We'll probably wrap up this stream soon enough, actually, once we've gotten down omens. I'll put up one last poll for the demon dash, since you all seem to be pretty into the demon dash, to be fair. Let's do a poll, and should it be teleport or a dash attack? Because again, maybe it's like you can do bonus action, you can cast Misty Step once per short rest or something, which again is super strong. But we'll see what people say. Start poll. Okay, demon dash should be a Misty Step or a dash action as a bonus action. Okay, start poll. Let's go. See what people say. Royale says, oh, maybe make enemy have wisdom save because ill omens moving fast to them, and it makes it like a hard. You're bulking it up too much. I think by doing that, it just becomes like, instead of being like a really sleek ability, it's just like this one thing. It becomes this whole power that you have to read every time or double check the mechanics of. Again, I guess design wise, I want to go for something more sleek. So you would either choose the fear ability or the dash ability. So yeah, like the grunge or exorcist. I mean, like, it's a cool feature, and I'm not against anyone doing that for sure. In their own games and things, but I think we should go with like sleeker, and like, because the temptation to keep adding things onto abilities is always going to be there, but you need to always pare it back, unfortunately. All right, we'll give it like a couple more. Let's everyone get your votes in there before we round this up. Last call. We'll do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last vote is just coming in. 10 votes now. All right, we're gonna end the poll here. Boop. Let's see what we got. All right, dash is a bonus action. That was tight though. That was close. Every vote counted there. So with you 10 people, you have voted that it will be a bonus action. These all might change as well over time, but I think this is pretty solid. I think this is pretty cool. Oh, we haven't chosen the main feature though, which is, see what's nice here as well. You know, demons have the versatility here, like the ill omens have this versatility of looking fake or being really fast, you know, being more of the predator type or being more the deceiving type, which is cool. And they have no key weaknesses. Ill omens can get around, they can move to more people, they can chat to more people, fly all over the place, safely glide around, you know, flaunt their wings and so on. But they they don't like that the poisons of the earth, the kind of classic poisons of the earth, and so are vulnerable to poison damage, which is really interesting, that payoff between flying and everything else. So that's cool. That's super cool, and that's something I want to do with like flying abilities in the future, because obviously flying is super overpowered. Everyone's going to choose flying creatures. So if you add some like detrimental ability, so with like going back up here to the bird kind of folk, the Alés, they would have flying, but they would also have light bones or hollow bones or something. So they'd basically, you know, have a -1 or they maybe take extra damage, or they have a -1 to their AC or something like that. You know, some big detrimental flaw to being able to fly, because being such a large creature and flying, you've got to sacrifice something in that regard. So there we go. I think this is a fine balance, and I love the idea that their wings are growing and developing, so it's not super strong straight out of the gate, but they do have that vulnerability to poison, which is cool flavor wise. So like dash decisions, not rash on the skin. I feel like turning into shadows or like black smoke would be sick. That would be super cool as well. Ooh, no, we're gonna save that for other species. I think we're gonna save that for other species. But maybe that'd be more flavorful than the dash ability. This might change. We'll put it down just in case. Turn to smoke / shadow, maybe. Question mark. We'll see. Okay. So moving on. What will the voice of the gods or divine quest? What will that be? What is their kind of, because there are voices of these powerful beings, what is something really cool and powerful that these people can do? Is it they can cast a divine word, you know, they can cast a spell? Again, don't want to lean towards spells there too much. Is it that they get bonuses on their deception or charisma checks or something like that? Is it that they can read divine texts or something like that as well? Or when they speak certain words of these gods, or maybe they have a communication ability. Maybe they can literally ask gods, you know, where do I go? Do I go this way or that way? I think that could be fun. Kind of like, you know, again, like omens, and this is very similar to the Star Druid. They can, you know, deem if something is like wheel or woe, if it would be good or bad. Maybe having the ability to ask a god, basically like a magic 8-ball, is this the right path or not? So maybe you decide on a quest. Maybe you get given a quest, and whenever you want to find out if something is going to you know, get in the way of that quest or help that quest, you can ask your deity, is this going to be an ill omen or a good omen for me if I go left or if I go right, for example? I think that could be really interesting. So Royale says, God, I need to talk to you. I think that's super fun, that you can literally call on omens. You are this omen maker. So maybe it doesn't have to be quest related. Maybe it is just, you know, once per day, omen, you know, omen giver, omen sayer, omen something. I'm going to just go omen for now. Once per day, you can ask your deity, you know, if a decision will wield an ill or good. Is this right? Wield, oops. An ill or good result. The DM answers with a good or ill omen. Will a deity, if a decision about to be made will wield in ill or good fortune, I'm gonna say. Or will wield a good or an ill, a good or bad result. Or bad outcome. There we go. Outcome. Will wield a good or bad outcome. The DM answers with a good or an ill or a good or ill omen in return. This may be a beam of sunlight or a thunderous bellow from a far off storm. It is up to the player to then decipher this omen. Oops, spelled that wrong as well. This PH. Oopsies. Okay. All right. How do we think of that? What do you think of that as an ability? Omen caller, omen teller, omen seeker, omen something. Come up with a name for it. You gotta. If anyone in the chat wants to come up with a name for that, let me know. So, yeah, it's basically like augury. But I don't want to put in a spell. I don't want to put in that you get the spell feature, because I think that's lazy and boring. And this has a little more flavor to it, I think, to some degree. Or since they are omens, their deity sends them somewhere, and their appearance will be good or ill omen for those who see them. Wait. The Watcher Online says, or since they are omens, their deity sends them somewhere, and their appearance will be a good or ill omen for those who see them. Yeah, that's fair. That's interesting as well. That that you just get teleported randomly once per day. Shadow God says, what if the gods could speak through them like an avatar? I think that could be a cool ability as well. Bard of Light says, I think the word you're looking for is yield, not wield. It is. Silly me. Thank you very much, Bard of Light. I was just so hyper focused there. Random Wizard Art says, also known as the Divine Vibe Check. I like that. Divine Vibe Check. That's fine. I like that. Maybe. Let's see. Could also be called. That's a street name. Then Drummer says, question: in those whose eyes would it be good or bad fortune? The omen's eyes, the deity's eyes, or the eyes of the greater good or evil? Could be left to the DM, of course. Yeah, I think the idea that, you know, the DM presents this thing and then it's down to the omen to actually, you know, figure it out as well. God Whisperer, that's fun. God Whisperer, Omen Whisperer, God's Omen, God's Omen. Yes, God's Whisperer. Yeah, but a lot of people like God's Whisperer. Okay, God Whisperer, God's Whisper. That's kind of fun. That's fun. I like that. Maker's Foresight. Ooh, that's another good one. Maker's Foresight. Now, this is a sick one. Raghav? Is that pronounced right? Bard of Light says, I think there's an argument to be made for saying you get the augury spell, but with the following reflavorings. Makes it easier for the DM to understand. But again, does it for new DMs, because then they've got to go and they've got to look up the spell, read the spell, then come back. Whereas it could just be right here in, you know, 2 sentences or, you know, like 2 lines. So again, let me look up the augury spell, because I think if I remember correctly, the augury spell is quite long. I might be wrong. Indeed, augury spell. And it's a 2nd level ability. So, yeah. So, this is like again, this is just such a mouthful. They might have changed it now with the newer kind of, you know, 5e or whatever. But you've got basically, let's compare it. This is down here. This is from, you know, 5th edition. So by casting gem inlaid sticks, rolling dragon bones, or laying out the ornate cards, or employing blah, 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 this is the whole flavor for the whole thing. You receive an omen from an otherworldly entity about the results of a specific course of action that you plan to take within the next 30 minutes. So really word heavy here. Wheel for good results, woe for bad results. Wheel and woe for good and bad results. Nothing for results that aren't specifically good or bad. The spell doesn't take into account any possible circumstances that might change the outcome, blah, 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 such as casting additional spells or the loss and gain of a companion. If you cast a spell 2 or more times before completing your long rest, there is a cumulative 25% chance that each casting after the first one, you get a random reading. So it's basically the same thing. We basically made the exact same spell. We could try to change it. We could try to make this more unique if you prefer. I don't know. Yeah. I'm down for whatever. Watcher says, I like how the omen is up to the player's interpretation and not a direct yes or no. I think that's fun. I think that's like a more quirky version and it's more roleplay heavy. For sure. Rolex thinks it's a great idea. Cool bullet. I think there's and the gods, I could also, you know, literally just say here at the end, you know, like similar to the omen spell. Someone says it's kind of long, lol. Yeah, I'm an old hat at DMing. I think a decade now, so spells are basically second nature to me. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I've been DMing for like 15 years. Yeah, 15 years. And again, I'm similar. You know all the spells, but you got to remember that other people don't. And sometimes you want to. I just think that's a big thing. Yeah, you're like, okay, I've got all these abilities. This is that spell. This is that spell. You can Google it for sure. But if you're only working with the books, it's kind of like, oh, I've got to go all the way to the book. I've got to find a spell. It just takes a lot. Where, you know, sometimes it's just nice to have it there. My hair's gone mad. Augury requires trinkets or objects for the result. So you need the trinkets as well. I like the idea that, you know, some magical event happens. And what's cool about this too is if you're creative enough, you can use it to your advantage in like fun kind of scenarios. Like, you know, if you want to convince people you are the messenger of a divine being, you're just like, am I the messenger of a divine being? And then like fucking lightning strikes down and lights you up or something. So you can be kind of playful with this because there will always be some divine act of intervention that will take place in this moment. So I like the flexibility here that it could, and it's down to the DM if they want to play with you. You could play into, you know, you can use this for skill checks and stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, if you don't go into the details, people can't exploit loopholes and exploits. That's another thing. That's what I've learned. Keeping it light, keeping it clean with descriptions is actually better than going in and giving all the details. Like, you can in the next 30 seconds when you do whatever this affects. It's just like, this is like super flexible, but also really concise. And in a way, by writing less, you make it more airtight in a strange way. Which I think is what they're doing now is with the new D&D books as well, for sure. But yeah, I'm happy enough with that. Again, this might change, but I like the name. I like the name God Whisperer, or God's Whisper, which is very cool. We've got growing wings, and we've got and intolerance. I think that's kind of fun that you kind of like plays into the like, oh no, this place is hideous. Like it could even just be, you know, the air is like slightly smoggy, but they're already coughing and spluttering, and find it difficult to exist just in like a city or something. And we've got false reflection or demon dash. So that's fun. And potentially turn into smoke. But again, demon dash could be reflavored as turning into smoke. So we'll leave that off. Keep it clean. Keep it concise. Let me see here. Random Wizard Art says you could also make them have disadvantage, say -1 deduction to stealth checks if there are animals like dogs or cats around. That's kind of fun. Yeah, I think as well though, compared to flying, I think it's like it's already a little weaker, that it doesn't need too many other weaknesses for false reflection. Bar Light says, maybe your divine conflict score can be affected how powerful / epic the omens are. That's kind of interesting. From a bird pooping on your head, signaling misfortune, to a thunderstorm appearing out of nowhere. That's fun. Okay, let's do that. Let's add okay, we gotta add omens in here. Omens. I'm gonna turn that. Actually, we're gonna make this in a new line. Boom. Boom, boom. Oops. There we go. Perfect. Omens. Yay. Make it a little smaller. 24. Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna like put that as something else for now. New line. New bit of text here. So, omens. Where'd my? Okay. Automatic. There we go. Omens. I like that. Omens are messengers of divine or I'm gonna say otherworldly beings. That makes sense. Is it one word? Otherworldly beings. Correct me if it's not. Messengers of otherworldly beings. They bring messages of weal and woe, right? Weal and woe to the people of the ethereal plane. So this is all, just get the idea out. However, wait, hold up. Omens can come in two forms: ill or good omens, with their, features, differentiating based on the type of omen that they are. Just put that down for now. They are. However, if an omen makes a significant enough change in their life, this may even change the type. This may even change their very nature. A good omen who turns to a life of murdering may one day wake up to find their joined horns broken. An ill omen who saves enough lives and, you know, starts running a charity fund. He saves enough lives and does enough good, may one day find their horns merging and wings begin to grow from their body. Something like that. But you had said, I wrote all this because the stronger the more an omen leans towards ill or good, the stronger their connection with their deity becomes, and thus the more potent their the omens that they deliver become. So this is all in the flavoring. So we'll say as well, you know, an indecisive omen may have a bird comedically poo on their head when trying to call on their deity for an omen, while one with stronger beliefs may cause a thunderous storm to miraculously cause a thunderstorm to miraculously explode out of nowhere when delivering omens of woe. I don't know, something like that. I think then that way it's baked into the lore. It's down to the DM to start acting on this. DMs, are encouraged to deliver more potent potent messages from the deities of omens whenever they use their, what's it called again? God's Whisper ability. Whenever they use God's Whisper ability actually, I'm gonna say as omens reach higher levels, DMs are encouraged to deliver more potent messages from the deities of omens whenever they use the God's Whisper ability. So that's another thing, they become more, as you level up and become a stronger omen, the God's Whisper ability gets more potent, and so on. That's fun. And now it's all connected, it's all intermingled and everything else. Oof. All right, I missed a lot of messages here, but very quickly, it seems to just be kind of conversations going on. But Regoff says, do the omens have to change their gods, or could they become more violent when ill? Taking the love example, causing heartbreak would be an ill omen thing to do, while matching soulmates would be, yeah. I don't think they change their gods. I think that's the perfect. I think that's really good to mention. Also, let me see. we could make that. We could write that in here. So like omens can come from in two forms: ill or good omens, with their features differentiating based on the type of omen that they are. And then, however, you know, making significant enough changes in their lives, you know, horns become broken, blah 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 blah, emerging, blah blah blah. Okay. However, an omen will always be tied to one deity and one greater being. Say known as their creator, will always be tied to one greater being known as their creator, and will always be connected to their creator's will, I guess. However, an ill omen of a god of love, like you said, may go around breaking hearts. An omen of, or what did you say? Actually, it was a good one from Ragov. Ill omen matching soulmates. Yeah, that's it. There we go. While a good omen of love will go around matching soulmates. Perfect. So flavorful, so much fun. You choose whatever god you want, or being or thing that you represent, and this kind of plays into like tieflings, where tieflings, they choose their what's it called? They basically choose their own name. I can't remember what the name of it is, but basically they take on a persona. So like, you know, one tiefling might call themselves Vengeance or Audacity or whatever, and then take on those personas themselves. They kind of name themselves after these things. Whereas this is similar. You take on a being and the will of that being, and then you can take it in a good way or a bad way. So fun, very fun. Okay, I think we're gonna leave it there. Let me just catch up with some of these messages. They should probably have to pick. Oh, sorry, Bard of Light says they should probably have to pick two deities at character creation to reflect their divine conflict, so they know what sorts of actions can bring them closer to one another. Now, I don't like the idea. I think there's just the one being, and then, you know, you start interpreting it for good or bad, but you are just the will of that deity's kind of whatever, you know, influences and power and domain. But it's not a bad idea, and I think that could totally be a fun thing to add in there. You know, you choose two beings and you're choosing between them, and that's super awesome too. But again, there's no mechanics for it. It's just down to how you role play it. You can go full into that with a DM and just like, you know, bring a bar or a meter, and it's like a tug of war, or you can keep it super light and be like, listen, I'm just a bad guy who likes breaking hearts, and that's it. So it's not super baked into the mechanics, but it's baked into the lore, which is fun. Random Wizard Art says, do transitioning omens lose their abilities when they're in the middle of shifting sides or natures, or do they slowly shift from them? So yeah, I think that's kind of fun. Like, you just basically can get a human when they're right in the middle. They just have no distinct features. And I think it's like down to... Okay, if we do want to make optional mechanics, just an idea. Optional rule. Before we go, optional rule. A meter. Karma. Omen. Karma. Meter. We'll just do this very quickly. We're gonna put that as a subtitle. Whenever when you make an omen, decide on if they are a good or ill omen and gain 1 point of good or ill karma. Okay? So each time you level up, based on your actions, work with your DM to decide if you should gain. Each time you level up, you will gain 1 additional karma point. Gain 1 additional karma point based on your actions throughout that level. Work with your DM to decide if you should gain an ill karma point or a good karma point. If ever you have the same amount of ill and good karma points, you gain you lose all you gain none of the features from ill omens or good omens, but still gain the use of, still retain the use of your God's Whisper feature. Whichever amount of ill or good omen points, karma points, points you have more of, you gain the features from that respective omen type. In the features from that respective omen type. And then the more distinct, or the more sorry, I spelled that wrong. The more polarized your karma points, the stronger your the stronger the effects of your God's Whisper ability will be. There we go. Now we got the karma system. It's an optional thing. You don't have to go for it, but it's a cool little thing that you can change and push and pull. So there's incentive to be more ill or good, because you become more decisive. You become it becomes more kind of like you get stronger effects basically with your God's Whisper. It's a role play thing. It's not a mechanical benefit, but the omens get more powerful and more impactful. But having in between the two of them having the same amount, gives you no benefits from either class, which kind of sucks. So it does encourage you to be more decisive as well. But again, if you want to ride that line, just be a bit between. I just think that's super fun. I think that's great. Hell yeah. Okay. Dendromer says, love is sometimes capitalized mid-sentence and sometimes not. Brilliant. So what do people think? Are people happy with that optional rule there? I think that's a nice way to go for it, and you can add that into your game or not. To God's Harvest example, good omen contributes to farmers, ill omen burns friends without good reason. God, you can have so much fun with this. I'm really excited. By the way, your typing is off screen. Oh, sorry. By the way, I just scrolled down and fixed it there. But there we go. You've got it all here. Boom. Optional karma meter. You've got the tug of war here. Boom. Let's go. Let's change it to blue. Cool. And we'll leave it there. Yeah, I like this a lot because Ilmums don't necessarily need to be evil. Yes, exactly. They're just, exactly the antithesis of the deity's influence. Thank you all so much for joining. It's been really, really fun. And got to do another live stream soon. I'm going to definitely be making videos on some of these kin in the future. But for now, thank you all for joining. This was super fun. Have a great day wherever you are. Bye. Yeah, Blue has just gone on the balcony. Oh, okay. We might have Blue. If you stick around, you will get to see Blue very quickly. Hello, Booster. Oh, beautiful girl. Oh. Will you say bye to everybody? Say bye, everybody, Booster. You don't want to be here. Bye. What's your ruling on having equal good and ill karma? If you have equal amounts, you don't get the benefits of either subspecies. So you get none of the intolerance to poison, you get none of the flying speed, you get none of your false appearance, and you probably just look like a regular human. That's what I think anyway. Beautiful. All right. Blue cameo. Voilas, bye-bye for everyone. See you guys. Next race, when next race stream? I don't know. We'll have to see. I'll keep posted. Just keep your eyes on the channel. Maybe in a few weeks' time. I'll see you soon, though. Bye.